Hi, I'm Daniel from ligo.co.uk and this is the Roberts Rambler Midi. The Rambler Midi is a brand new radio from one of the UK's best loved audio brands. Roberts are probably best known for their distinctive Revival range, but they've also been making the Rambler range since the 1970s, and they recently decided to give this range a refresh with a whole new lineup of models. The Midi is something a little bit different from the rest of the range, but how does it stack up? Let's take a closer look. Let's start out with a look at the design of the Rambler Midi, which is fitting since the design is really what makes Roberts products so desirable. Now, when you think of a Roberts radio, and especially a Rambler, you probably think of something that's more landscape in orientation. In fact, I've got another one of the new Rambler lineup here, the Rambler Uno, so you can see what I mean. This is much more akin to how the Ramblers have looked since their inception, whereas this, Roberts have taken basically the essential design DNA of the Rambler and then transplanted it onto a different frame. Whether or not you're a fan will depend on personal preference, but I personally quite like the Midi. Roberts previously made a similar sort of radio to this, the Revival Mini, which was the same shape but took its cues from their Revival range, as you probably guessed from the name. So at the minute this is the only one that they make that's shaped like this, more akin to radios from the likes of Pure or Rourke, but still I think pretty nice. The Rambler Midi comes in 3 different colours. I've got the cream one here, as you can see. There's also a navy blue version and a duck egg blue version available as well. They all have this rather prominent wood casing on the side, which has always been a hallmark of the Rambler range, although on the most recent version before these, the Rambler Mini, it was plastic, so it's a nice return to form to have the real wood. The wood is bamboo, which I can only assume was chosen for its eco-friendliness, but it still gives the Rambler Midi a bit of acoustic sparkle. The wood more prominent than on the standard Ramblers because of the shape, but I think it forms a very nice contrast with the duck egg and navy blue if you prefer Roberts' more colourful radios, or blends very nicely with the cream for something a bit more sleek if that's more your style. On the front you've got what's the most iconic part of the Rambler design, the speaker grille, so even though the shape is pretty much completely different, you can still tell that it's part of that rich heritage of design that Roberts are so known for. If anything, I'd say that the Rambler Midi is something a bit more sophisticated than the rest of the Rambler range due to the blending of the wood and the leatherette casing. And the shape as well means it's something that would be equally at home as your living room speaker or a portable radio. All the controls for the Midi are located on the top here. There's a nice big volume wheel, so it's really easy to crank the volume all the way up or down quickly if you need to. This wheel also doubles as the power button when you click it, and it's got a very satisfying click to it when you turn it as well, which is something I always like about Roberts radios, nice and tactile. Then the rest of the controls are these little buttons here. If there's any potential complaint about the design of the Midi, it might be that these buttons are quite small, although that does mean that they don't detract from the very sleek design that Roberts have gone for with this. And to be honest, they're not that tricky to use since they are still wide enough that even if you've got chunky fingers like me, you won't press the wrong button by mistake. And then finally, the Rambler Midi comes with this nice carry handle on the top because it's portable, which I'll get into more in a minute. Very useful if you are going to be using it as a portable radio though, as it is quite a chunky little radio, so not the easiest thing to grab and pick up, whereas the classic Ramblers are more something you can just grab and carry around. So carry handle, good feature, and looks very smart as well. So that's all about the design, which as I said is quite a big reason why a lot of people choose Roberts radios in the first place. But given the price point, you'd also want it to sound good as well, and it does. I've been very impressed, generally speaking, with Roberts radios that I've tested in the past, and the Midi is no exception to that. I'm always surprised by just how loud radios in general this size can go. But with the Midi, even when you've turned it all the way up, there's no real audible distortion to speak of, which is good for a portable radio since if you want to use it outdoors, you can turn it all the way up and it'll still sound good. The sound is nice and balanced, although you can adjust the EQ if you prefer. There's this bass reflex port on the back, which helps to fill out the low end a bit more than some of the other Rambler series. And as I said, the wood casing also rounds out that sound as well. So overall, another great example of why Roberts radios are still so esteemed when it comes to audio quality. As for features, the Rambler Midi allows you to tune into both DAB and FM radio to give you a really good choice of stations. There's a built-in aerial on the back here, which I found did a really good job during testing of holding a nice steady signal, so there's no annoying interference. And as with most radios nowadays, you also have the option of saving presets. Unlike the other new Ramblers, there's no one-touch presets on the Midi. Instead, when you save stations, they're then saved to a separate menu. You can save up to 10 stations on DAB and another 10 on FM. And even though you haven't got that one-touch option, it's still really useful, as it means you don't have to flick through potentially dozens of different stations to flick between the ones that you actually listen to regularly. It's also got Bluetooth connectivity built in as well, so you can use it to listen to your own choice of music or podcasts, which was what I was mostly doing during testing. Not a lot to say about that feature really. As with most Bluetooth speakers, it's nice and simple to connect up your smart device and listen, but it does mean that the Midi is more than just a radio, so it's more versatile and gives you a bit more value for money too. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the Rambler Midi is a portable radio, which is what the Rambler range has really always been about. Now, with some portable radios, you need to buy a specific battery pack, which can be expensive and difficult to replace further down the line if they're no longer produced when yours dies on you. But if I turn the Midi around here and open up the battery compartment, you'll see it just takes 4 standard AA's, so you can pick them up for not very much. And easy to replace if you need to as well. And one feature that I really like is this little switch here on this setting. That's just for standard disposable batteries, but if you pop in rechargeable batteries and flip this switch, when you plug the Midi in, it will automatically recharge those batteries up, so you don't need to take them out of the radio and charge them up to put them back in. So you get all the benefits of a power pack, but at a better cost as well. So there we have it, the Roberts Rambler Midi, something a little bit different from Roberts, but a product that still packs their signature blend of great sound quality and gorgeous design, and a product that I happen to really like as well. So if you've got any questions or comments about this product, pop them below this video, and to get your hands on one for yourself, head over to ligo.co.uk.